beauties, welcome to today's video. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys a couple of tips that I have for anxiety, stress, depression. I've experienced a little bit of everything, so these are just some tips that I have. Obviously, I'm not like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a doctor or anything like that, or a therapist. But I figured it might be nice to just share a couple of tips, because while I was going through those things, I was doing research to try to figure out tips on how to make me feel better. So I figured I'd share some of the tips that worked for me, and maybe you guys can try them out and see if they work for you. My hair and makeup is the same from my last video because I'm filming this the same day, so disregard that. But I did want to put on just a comfy sweater so that it could be cozy, comfy vibes. But yeah, so let's get into today's video. So I wrote down a couple of these tips, but I'm pretty sure I'm probably missing some. So probably in the near future, I'll be doing another video or maybe a series. So I figured this could be like mental health tips with me or something. I don't know what I'm gonna call this if I do turn it into a series. But let's get into the first tip that I have. So for the first tip, take your phone off of dark mode. I don't know what kind of phone you have, but I have an iPhone, and I had put my phone into dark mode because I felt like my screen was too bright. So all of my apps that I was using, everything, it was just constantly like darkness. And then I realized like maybe I should put my phone bright again and like change my wallpaper to something that makes me happy. So I changed it to, I don't know if it was like the clouds or like one of the beach pictures that I had, but I'm trying to think of like back in the time when I was dealing with my depression heavily. But obviously everyone has like, some days are good and then some days you can kind of like get back into that funk, but you just have to keep working to try to get out of it, which I know is obviously easier said than done. But that little tip worked for me because my phone was bright, and then obviously at the time I always wanted to be in the dark, like just in my bed in the darkness all the time. So if you have your brightness up and your phone bright, it's gonna hurt your eyes being in a dark room, so you're gonna have to like get up and turn the light on, or like leave the room and go into like brightness, into light. Then the next tip is to move your charger from your bedroom. So whenever I needed to charge my phone, before it was in my bed, so in a way I really didn't have to leave my bed, only if I was using the bathroom obviously and like taking a shower and stuff like that. But other than that, I wouldn't have to worry about my phone dying because I had the charger right there. So moving your charger to somewhere else, like your living room or to your kitchen, somewhere where it gets bright light, but not even then, just anywhere besides your bed, because your bed is obviously comfy and you're just gonna like want to stay in there. So that's what worked for me. And actually this new apartment, my old apartment was like dark all the time, and something that made me very excited about this apartment is the fact that right now I have my lights off, but I do have my tripod with my ring light. But right now I have natural sunlight, like natural light coming in, and that made me so happy because in my other apartment I didn't. And I do suffer from seasonal depression. So I'm excited because I can be, you know, with the lights off, saving energy as well, but still having light. And I love that everything in this apartment is like white and bright, and it just, for me, it just equals happiness, if that makes sense. My other apartment, the wood of the apartment, like the cabinets and just, I can't think of the word, I don't know why, but the apartment had like dark wood, dark brown, a dark brown rug, everything was just dark to me. And then, so yeah, so I'm excited for this because I'm hoping, and like I feel like this winter I should be better, and you know, because I have so much sunlight and brightness. I hope I'm making sense. Then the next tip that I have is journaling. So you can buy a notebook, a diary. This was actually a tip that my therapist had given to me. So I haven't bought a journal yet, but I do tend to use the Bible app, and I write down, you know, my prayers and just things that are going on in my life. So I like to include it into there. You can also probably have, like, I don't know if I said this already, but the notes app in your phone, or if you have a laptop, you can put it like into a Word document. There's like on your phone or on your computer, depending what computer you have, you can do like voice, and it'll type everything out for you so that you don't have to write or type as well. So that's a good method. And if you wanted it to be like a little bit more private, maybe do it in your email, or like write emails to yourself. That could be a method of journaling. And journaling is really cool, especially I've been using my Bible app for the past year, so it's cool to see like a year from now what everything was like, if that makes sense. Like what I was journaling about, what worries I was having, what I was venting about. Then to even, you can look back to like a week ago or a month ago. So it's cool to see, because you'll be able to see your progress, and it's an outlet to just let everything out, to kind of like word vomit onto, whether it's a piece of paper or a note app or anything like that. Then the next tip that I have is using the Bible app. I don't know if everyone, like, you know, there's probably people that are not religious and stuff like that. That's okay, like to each their own. But the Bible app helps me because they have like a guided prayer. So it's like a little function inside of the app, and that's where I use as like my journaling. But I do eventually want to get an actual notebook or a journal. But that helps me because a guided prayer, it goes through like the Bible verses, like it'll walk you through it, and then there's a part where you can just word vomit whatever you're feeling, whatever's going on. And it's cool because on there, I think I already mentioned, you can look back from like a year from now, a month ago, a week ago, a day ago, whatever you'd like. Another suggestion that I have is daily affirmations. You can look some up. I've seen people do like put little post-it notes on their mirrors, like in their bathroom, or I think with the iPhone, the update now, you can make little widgets on your home screen. So maybe including like daily affirmations on there, like you are beautiful, you are powerful, X, Y, and Z, you know. So it's good to boost up yourself by telling yourself daily affirmations. Then the next thing is meditation. So this was actually a suggestion from my therapist, another suggestion. And I've been wanting to do meditating, and I had mentioned to her, like, every time I try to meditate, I even have like a YouTube channel that I've subscribed to. Like, I try it out. I try looking up videos, because I'm a person that loves to research things, if that makes sense. And I also downloaded an app. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I haven't used it yet, but hopefully by the time that I edit and upload this video, I've used it at least once. So back to, so to meditation, I had mentioned to her, like, every time I try to meditate, it's like there's a bunch of different like thoughts in my head, and then I'm the type of person that I'm like, okay, it's just not meant to be right now, or like, oh, I'll try again like another time. So she had said, like, you know, that is normal for you to have thoughts that'll like pop in, and it's good to just like acknowledge them, but to try to just like, you know, you're acknowledging that they're there, but to not focus on them, which she said is something easier said than done. Some, like, with time it'll get a little bit better and easier. And she told me, like, you can try methods of like breathing mechanisms, or trying to like clench your face, and then like clench your eyes and your eyebrows, and then like release it, clench your jaw and then release it, and then like your arms, and then, so basically you're like letting your body get calm little by little, and then you just try to like bring it in, like, I don't know, try to like focus, and then you'll be calm and feel peaceful and be able to meditate a little bit better. Sometimes she'd like another suggestion she gave me was trying to think of like your happy place. So when she had asked me that question, like, what's your happy place, my first instinct was like, or I don't know if it was your happy place or what place do you feel most comfortable, something with comfortable, because you know, or relaxed, because you know when you're meditating you want to feel like comfortable, relaxed, and things like that. So my first instinct was like my bed, and then she's like, bed is usually what everyone's first answer is, because that's like where I would assume you would feel more comfortable, like obviously. But she was like, try to think of like other places, like a beach, a park, like in a forest, anything like that. Sometimes it's a little bit easier, or like a waterfall. Imagining yourself in different places, or actually meditating in those places if you have the time and the chance to, helps you to be able to focus more. I hope I'm making sense. Then the next tip that I have is being active. So even if it's going for a run, or just a walk, going to the gym, doing yoga, which I have a yoga mat, and I try to look up yoga videos on YouTube and like doing things like that. So anything that gets you active, I feel like that helps. And like for me, the gym helped me because I felt like I was always weak, which I feel like I still am a little bit weak. But for the gym, you just like, sometimes you can really surprise yourself, because I'm like lifting weights, doing squats and stuff like that. And I know to many this might not sound like a lot, but to me it's like progress, because I started off with like doing 5-pound weights, and then now I think the highest I've done is like 20 or 25 or something like that. Like for my arms, I think it's like something in the 20s, and then for my legs, obviously I think your legs are a little bit more stronger, so I try to push myself, and I think I've been able to do like 30 or 35, 40. So it's cool to see your progress. And then of course it might feel a little bit intimidating at first, because I was intimidated, but sometimes, you know, if you just like push yourself a little bit. And obviously there's some days where I'm like, yes, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna go to the gym today, and then other days it's like I want to skip it, or I'll stall and I'll be in the parking lot for like 30 minutes just because I'm feeling lazy. But then once I go into the gym and I work out, I'm like, why was I even stalling? Like, you know, you don't regret working out the same way like you don't regret cleaning. You know, sometimes it takes, sometimes you have to push yourself, but you're not going to regret it in the end. You're going to have fun. Then the next suggestion, or like the next tip, is consuming less caffeine. So for me, like less coffee, or if there's like Red Bull or Monster drinks, anything like that. So I found with coffee, I was drinking like 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day sometimes, and obviously I would put like a lot of sugar and like flavoring, like caramel or whatever, inside of it, and I found that that made me more anxious all the time. Like it gave me the jitters, and then I would start freaking out, like, oh my god, why am I so like shaky, or why do I feel nervous, or why is my heart beating so fast? Like then I just started like overwhelming myself, and then like being deep inside of my head, like, is my heart beating fast? Because in my head I wasn't even thinking about the coffee. I'm like, is it beating fast like because something's wrong with me? Like, do I have like a heart condition? Am I having a heart attack? Am I this and that? And then I would just go into like a deep dive, and then it's like going into deep dives like mentally, not a good thing. So consuming less caffeine, whether it's like a energy drink or anything like that, is a good suggestion. And my therapist had given that tip as well. Then the next tip that I have is trying therapy. So thankfully my health insurance covered it. Unfortunately, I did have to wait a couple of months, which I feel like that's the only like sad part about how the world is, I guess you could say. I mean, maybe not every state and things like that is like where it has a wait, but I also remember another time when I was first going into college and I was living on campus. I remember I had my first panic attack ever, and literally I felt like I could not breathe, like I was just like losing it. And then I tried going to the therapy center on campus, and they were like, oh, it's an 8-month wait or something like that. And then I was like, 8 months, like, you know, thankfully I, you know, won't harm myself, but I was just thinking, like, what about the people that do, like, that are, I don't know if I can say the word on YouTube because I don't want to trigger anyone, but what about the people that are at their end's wit and are contemplating, like, hurting themselves? Like, how could you tell someone, like, oh, the wait list is long, come back in 7 or 8 months? Like, that's not helpful. She's like, oh, we'll talk to your doctor and see if they can refer you and stuff like that. So I remember I tried to go up to my doctor, and my doctor was like, well, there's a wait for this too, but I can give you medication. And then I'm just like, you know, you don't even know what's wrong with me, if that makes sense. Like, you don't even know, like, what's going on. You just want to, like, give me a medication. So I was like, I think I would want to be evaluated first, like, try to get a therapist first. But thankfully, I had realized, which is, it's another tip more down on my list, but I realized what was triggering my panic attacks, which was because I was homesick, I was away from home, I was in a dorm by myself, just like a lot of factors. So I was like, let me try moving back home. And then thankfully for me, that worked, moving back home. So I didn't have to, like, I had the medications with me, but thankfully by the time I even got the medications, I was already living back at home. So that's what worked for me. But obviously, if you need medication, there's nothing wrong with that. But I was just upset that, like, I felt like they were just brushing me aside and just trying to give me medication, if that makes sense. So with my therapist, it was kind of the same thing. I had to go to my primary care, and then I had to wait a couple of months. I think it was maybe 2 months that I had to wait. And that's why, since I had to wait, I decided to look up, like, tips, suggestions, and I tried changing different things in my everyday life to try to help me in the meantime until I was able to see my therapist. So the next tip is cleaning, because obviously sometimes when you go through depression, you don't have the motivation to do that many things or to clean. Sometimes things can get messy, but also for some people, cleaning is like an outlet, a stress reliever. So I have a tip for cleaning. So try, like, with the small things, try, like, with one task at a time or one room at a time. Or, like, for now, I'm gonna start off emptying out my bedside table, or I'm gonna start off by just cleaning all the mirrors in my house, or, like, the mirror in my bathroom, or things like that. So little things that can help you stress relief as well, and it'll make you feel, like, accomplished, motivated. It'll make you feel better. And sometimes I look up, like, tips, like cleaning tips, things like that, but it might just be because I'm a researcher, but you just never know. There might be tips that can, like, save you some time from cleaning, or just, like, methods if you want to be more organized, things like that. Then the next tip that I have is breathing apps, meditation apps. So I have downloaded some, and I definitely do want to try them. I haven't tried them yet, but I will definitely let you guys know what works for me if I end up filming another video like this in the near future. Then the next tip that I have is getting ready for the day, even if it's something small. So like doing your hair, or if you like to do makeup, doing your makeup, or putting on a comfortable outfit, or like a cute outfit, or anything like that. Just getting ready for the day instead of staying, like, in your same clothes makes a difference. It helps, makes you feel better. You know, obviously when you get, like, I didn't include brushing your teeth and, like, taking a shower, because I feel like that's like something that's already, like, necessary for the day. I don't know if everyone does that, but I'm talking about, like, getting ready as in, like, getting yourself done up. But obviously when you're dealing with depression, taking a shower and brushing your teeth can seem hard as well. So that's something that can be included as well in getting ready, because I do understand that depending what level of depression you're, like, going through, certain things, like tasks, like even eating, which is another tip of mine, can be hard, because sometimes if you're stressed or depressed or having anxiety, you don't have an appetite. So definitely make sure to eat as well, because food gives you energy, so do not forget to eat. Then the next tip that I have is following inspiring people slash unfollowing people that are not inspiring. So another thing that I went through, like when I was taking my phone off of dark mode, I realized I was following so many people, a lot of like celebrities and influencers and things like that didn't align with my life, or like, and in a way didn't make me feel any better. Because if you realize, a lot of the celebrities and influencers, they're not showing you everything, they're just showing you like picture perfect versions of everything. So I did unfollow a lot of celebrities and people and stuff like that, and that honestly made me feel better. And then as the months went by, like I started finding more people that I felt like aligned with me a little bit more, and weren't, you know, so like cookie cutter, like white picket fence, everything's like perfect, peaches and cream, because, you know, that's not realistic. Obviously, some people, like, you know, with your social media, you control what you post, like you choose whatever you do post and you don't post. But I just feel like that was something that worked for me. So now to the next one, drink water. Drinking water is so important. I used to hate drinking water, and then once I got pregnant with my daughter, I had to drink water, and I started loving water. And water is good because, you know, it can like help clear your skin, and obviously your body depends on water, so you feel more better when you're drinking water. Then the next tip that I have is like breathing. So some breathing tips that worked for me when I was having like panic attacks or anxiety or things like that is like taking like deep breaths, like just like breathe, because sometimes when you're having anxiety and stuff, you have like heart palpitations and things like that. So, oh, and another thing is like, don't like put your hand on your heart or things like that, because that's what I was like obsessed with doing, and I would scare myself even more, because it's like I would have my hand on my chest and be like, why is my heart beating so fast? Oh my god, like, am I dying? Am I having a heart attack? So like I kept doing it to myself in a way, and then it's like, obviously if you're having anxiety, your heart's beating fast, and then you tracking your heart is not gonna make your heart like go down. It's just gonna make it start, like, you know, you're just overwhelming and scaring yourself even more. So don't put your hand on your heart, because, you know, that's something that I did and I struggled with, but now I've gotten better at it, and I don't put like my heart on my chest, my hand on my chest. But with the breathing, like taking deep breaths, like breathe in, breathe out. There's, like I mentioned, breathing apps, breathing exercises. Another one that worked for me was like, you can do it with your eyes open or closed, but what worked for me is like, okay, what am I hearing? What am I seeing? What am I doing? What do I feel? Like, are my feet on the floor? Do I hear like people talking, things like that? So it felt better to kind of like ground myself and kind of bring myself back to earth, like back to present time, because obviously when I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, everything was just like swirling, and it was an out of body experience. So it felt better to kind of bring myself back to reality. A next tip that I have is, if you're panicking, you know, or if you're having a panic attack or anxiety or depression, you know, whatever you're going through, talk to it about it with someone that you can trust, that you know will make you feel better. So someone that you know will like calm you down and things like that, because that's what helped me. Because, you know, I feel like if I would have told someone I'm having a panic attack, and then they started like panicking with me, like, oh my god, I don't think that would make me feel better. I think that would, like, we would both be like, ah, like screaming and stuff, and I'd be like, I'm dying. And then, so yeah, you need someone that can, and obviously it's hard to find, like, I know not everyone will have that someone, but hopefully with time and stuff you can find someone, even if that person is your therapist. And then if you can, try to figure out what is triggering your anxiety, which I found, like how I mentioned, when I was living on campus during college, that's what was triggering my anxiety and panic attacks at the time. And then for my panic attacks with my heart, I guess it was like the fact that I was like checking my heart rate, and then the coffee was making me jittery, and I was like sleep deprived. I don't know if I mentioned this, but make sure to get sleep. Sleep is so important. So I wasn't sleeping well, so that kind of had me already like jittery. That's why I was drinking so much coffee, because I wasn't sleeping. But it's like, and obviously sleeping is easier said than done, because I know some people deal with insomnia and things like that. But yeah, definitely figure out what is triggering your anxiety or your depression or all of those things, and try to tackle it, which I know is obviously easier said than done. And sometimes you don't know what's triggering you or what's going on, and that took me time, because with my therapist, she's like, what do you think is triggering your anxiety? And I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know why I'm like panicking all the time. I don't know what it is that I'm like scared of. And then during the sessions and things like that, it's kind of like we progressed and figured out how everything, like we unfolded everything. And then, oh, that's why I didn't mention sleep, because sleep is my last tip. So yeah, sleep is so important. So try your best to get sleep. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope these tips were useful, purposeful, helpful. And don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to check out my Instagram. I do polls on Mondays and Wednesdays. So usually on Monday, I'll start it off with like, how's your week going? Or no, how are you feeling today? And then for Wednesdays, I'll ask, how's your week going so far? And then sometimes on Friday, I'll ask like, what are you doing for the weekend? Or just random things like that. So if you ever wanted to participate in those. And then also don't forget to check out my TikTok and the other videos that I posted on my YouTube channel. Bye, my beauties.